Space Ki Shahi Kamoshi Chanuk Chamukt Uyil Se Bargai Wahan Jahan Kuchpal Pahol Surf Kali and Hara Abi Dashat Engaz Jahazan Kiberish Thi Hariki Jahas Chot Shehar Yitnabada Tha Unkta Se Bainhal Dorkasuaraj Ki Roshni Main Chamak Rehi the Upjib Nishan Unki Taraf Chamak Rehi the East Sarangan Main Jo Insani Ankan Nikabi Nadekta Admiral Isara Apni Sabs Bajahaz Kabrij Parkadatha Kuski Lambai or Patla Jism Control Penelan Par Lambisaya Dal Raha Tha Usk Char Hath Tizi Se display par data dekrehi the Lambi Musafat Kahisab Lagat Hugh Uski Bad Kali Ankun Saman Nazar Ane Whale Neil Sayer Ko Gude Rahi Ku Rahe Jo 30,000 Sol Pahol Biweza Haitha Report Duasan Apni Crew Se Kaha Uskiawaz Gary or Sarili Thi Highs Hard Kathar Quixote High Navigator Ni Jawab Dia Target System Parpahanch Gehane Admiral Tiza Sayada Tazdik Hua Hai Wahi Peshida Dunya Jahan Eternal Vigil Crash Huatha Zexthara Nidir Se Sir Hilayaya Ya Sanhoga Jabhom Akribare the two is planet Kamaklik Muskal Se Ah Jalanasik Pay the Garundan Main Ret or Nakdar Barkeen Se Shakar Kart the Shayad Abtak Kuch Jopriyan Banali Hongya Ketikarna Sikh Liahoga Magar Kathirian Empire K Shaktashali Lashkar K Sam Abbi Wokuch B Nehin Planet Koskan Karna Shuru Karo Usan Hukum Dia Apnakuya Hua Jahaz Dundo Jaldi Wapas Latna Hai Isgadia Dunya Ni Humine Piho Hai Buat Wakt Barbode Karawad Dia Isi Wakt Kanda Kadusri Taraf Commander Jake Morrison Apni Suba Ki Kafi P Raha Thajab Alarm Zor Zor Se Bajni Laga Wo Uchulpada Garam Coffee Uski Reportin Pargur Gi Luna Station Ka Control Room Hoshiyar Afrad Se Bargaya Kaiho Rahahai Go Shahahai Jake Nichik Kar Pucha Lieutenant Amy Clark Niapni Screen Se Nazar Yutha Sachera Zard Tha Sir Solar System K Kanari Parkai Body Chizin Zahir Hui Hain Boet Body Pondra Massive Objects Ekdam Se Ea Gay Hain Earthkey Tariff Ea Rehi Hain Jake Nieski Kisi Kuche Samhalt Hugh Display Deco 15 Deshat Engez Saktian Dik Rahithi Dear Magar Sabit Kodam Earthkey Taraf Bar Rahithi Kayaye Hamari Hain Uesin Pucha Likan Jawab Wo Pehol Hayanta Tha Heinzer Amy Nikaha Inky Technology Hamari Kisi Design Se Nahi Milti T or Sir ESN Readings Dobar Deki Wo Humine Scan Kare Hihain Jake Kadil Ekpal Ko Ruk Gea Salin Key Military Service Main Yahilamha The Jisklai Sab Training League Thi Likinkoi Chatanahi Faki Yadin Apeli Dafa Alien Se Samna or Lagdatha Yadasti Decay Nahi A Earth Command Se Turant Direct Link Lago Jake Nihukum Dia Priority Alpha Harzarori Shakes Ko Jagadu President Lisa Kennedy Budget Meeting Main Mass Roof The Jabuska Security Chief Kemre Kadarwaza Todd Carander AI Piche General Paul Martinez Dagiska Hamisha Donda Reda Chera Aj Fiker Main Duba Da'a Madam President General. Nikaha humin foreign bot karni hogi. Ya kumi nahin. Planetary security ka maslahai. Lisa ni apni desk, parbi q, papers deck, or thandi sans beret. Ya, bettereen waja, ani chahi, wanahum, wakai mushkil, mainhain. We have visitors, Martinez cut in, from space. And they're not friendly tourists. 20 minutes. Later, President Lisa Kennedy sat deep in the underground command center beneath the White House. The main screen displayed the alien fleet, now visibly closer to Earth. Dr. Carol Wright, the nation's top scientist, was presenting the latest data. The ships are using some form of faster-than-light travel, Carol explained, pointing to the readouts. They just ... appeared. Their technology is beyond anything we've ever imagined. Each vessel is approximately 5 miles long. We've confirmed 15 in total. What do they want? Lisa asked. We're about to find out, said Communications Officer Pete Davis. They're transmitting a message. The screen flickered and then showed a tall, thin being with 4 arms and large black eyes. When it spoke, the words came through a tangled mix of ancient languages that the translation system strained to interpret. Primitive beings of the Third World, the alien declared. I am Admiral Zach Thera of the Catherian Empire. 30,000 of your years ago, one of our vessels crashed upon your planet. We have returned to reclaim what is ours. We will surrender our ship and all its contents immediately. Any defiance will be met with force. You have one of your planetary rotations to comply. The transmission ended, leaving the room in heavy silence. Lisa glanced at her advisors. Do we know anything about a crashed alien ship? Dr. Wright cleared her throat. Actually, Madam President, ... yes. The object has been displayed in the Global Heritage Museum in Geneva for over 2 centuries. We call it the Geneva Artifact. Most of our technological advancements came from studying it. General Martinez leaned forward. Ma'am, if that ship gave us a technological head start, imagine how far ahead they must be. Lisa sat in thought. She knew the artifact had transformed humanity's destiny. Strange alloys from its hull led to breakthroughs in materials science. Damaged computer cores had reinvented information processing. Its engines had inspired human space travel. That wreck had elevated humans from ground-bound beings to interstellar explorers. Send them a reply, Lisa finally ordered. Tell them we're willing to discuss the return of their property through proper diplomatic channels. Invite them to send representatives to meet with ours. Ma'am, Martinez said cautiously, are you sure that's the right play? You don't exactly seem open to negotiation. Lisa smiled coldly. General, they've been gone for 30,000 years. They have no idea who we are now. Let's show them what we've done with their gift. As the message was drafted and sent to the Catherian fleet, the tension in the command center began to ease. Humanity had trained for this day. They were ready. Admiral Zakthar read the human reply with disbelief. Not only had the primitives understood him, but they'd responded in flawless Catherian, a language no one outside their empire should know. Worse, they were inviting him to diplomacy's equals. Something about this mission no longer felt simple. 3 days later, Captain Ron Hayes stood on the bridge of the human starship New Horizons. The vessel was sleek, its flowing metallic design like liquid sculpture. Soft lights bathed the interior. Artificial gravity held everyone steady, and every console responded flawlessly. Ahead, the vastness of space, waited the Catherian fleet, imposing and formidable, yes, but compared to the elegance of New Horizons. They looked almost ... outdated. Their ships were angular and harsh, relics of another age. Approach slowly, Ron instructed his pilot. Let's not spook them. Behind him, cultural expert Ellen Brooks checked her translation gear one last time. She'd spent days studying everything from the crash archives about Catherian language and customs. Remember, she told the team, they think we're still savages with sticks. Let's ease them into reality. The New Horizons glided forward, moving with grace, toward the Catherian flagship. On the alien bridge, Admiral Zakthara watched the human ship approach, his confusion deepening. It moved too perfectly, its design unmistakably influenced by Catherian science, yet superior in every way. How is this possible? He demanded of his science officer Valkara. They should barely know how to light fires. Valkara analyzed her instruments carefully. Admiral, the power readings from that vessel, they match ours. Their artificial gravity system is operating at 98% efficiency, Valkara reported, eyes fixed on her readings. Ours averages 85% on a good day. That can't be correct, Zakthara snapped. Run diagnostics on your equipment. But deep down, a cold dread settled in his gut. Something here wasn't adding up. Meanwhile, the New Horizons docked with the Catherian flagship. The airlocks sealed with precision, the atmosphere equalized seamlessly. Hatch. When the hatch opened, Captain Ron Hayes stepped aboard. Ellen Brooks and the diplomatic team following close behind. Admiral Zakthara waited to receive them, flanked by his honor guard. He'd expected crude suits, awkward equipment, maybe signs of discomfort. Instead, the humans wore sleek, practical attire. Their gear was compact, refined. They walked with the casual ease of people who belonged in space. Admiral Ron said, his voice smooth and clear, "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Zakthara's eyes narrowed in surprise. The human's Catherian was flawless, clearer than many of his own officers. "You speak our language?" Of course, Ellen replied. With a warm smile, your ship's databanks contained extensive linguistic files. Very instructive. Still stunned, Zakthara led them to a conference chamber. As they walked, he observed how little awe the humans showed. They glanced around politely, but without wonder, as though walking through a museum of ancient relics. In the conference room, Valkara joined them. She couldn't stop staring at the small device Ellen set on the table. "What is that?" Valkara asked. "A translator and recorder," Ellen explained. "It ensures perfect understanding and logs the discussion." "Would you like to examine it?" Valkara lifted the device, marveling at its lightness and strange materials. The surface lit up at her touch, displaying data more vivid than anything aboard the flagship. "This is very advanced," she admitted quietly. "Thank you," Ellen said with a nod. "We've had time to refine things." Zakthara cleared his throat, choosing to get to business. "We are here for our ship, the one that crashed on your world millennia ago. We demand its return, including everything inside." "We understand," Ron replied calmly, "and we're willing to discuss it. But first, let us explain what happened after your ship arrived on Earth." Ellen activated a small projector, casting a bright, sharp hologram into the air. The Catherians gasped. Their own holograms were dim and rudimentary in comparison. "Your vessel crashed 30,000 years ago," Ellen began. "Our ancestors discovered it. They recognized its significance, not as a weapon, but as a source of knowledge." Images flickered through the air, primitive humans carefully unearthing the wreck. Scholars studying its alien structure, engineers sketching complex diagrams. The hologram now displayed human ships streaking between stars. Colonies flourishing on distant worlds and vast cities floating amidst the clouds of gas giants. Valkara leaned forward, eyes wide with disbelief. "You've accomplished all this in just 30,000 years. "Actually," Ellen said proudly, "most of it happened in the last 500 years. Once we grasped the principles from your ship, our progress skyrocketed." Admiral Zakthara felt a wave of vertigo. The Catherian Empire had been operating on the same core technologies for over 50,000 years. Sure, they'd made some upgrades, but nothing approaching the transformations these humans displayed. "How many worlds do you control?" he asked softly, his voice barely a whisper. "We don't control them," Ron gently corrected. "We live on 47 worlds across 12 star systems. We've also established contact with 6 other species, some of whom are close allies now." "6 species?" Zakthara echoed. "Which ones?" Ellen listed the names with ease. 3 of them made Zakthara's blood run cold. The Catherians had encountered those species before, and had always withdrawn, finding them too dangerous to confront. The Varan Empire is not known for its hospitality, Zexthera remarked cautiously. Oh, the Vorans are delightful. Once you get past the prickly exterior, Ellen replied cheerfully. They had food supply issues. We helped solve that. Now, they're some of our best trading partners. Velkara set down the human translation device with trembling hands. She whispered in their private language, Admiral ... These humans might be more advanced than we are. Studied the humans. Their faces were open, confident, but without arrogance. They weren't boasting. They were simply stating facts. And that, Zexthera realized, was more terrifying than any display of force. Perhaps, he said carefully, we should discuss this matter with greater consideration. Ron Hayes smiled warmly. We'd be glad to. After all, we owe you a debt. Your ship showed us how to reach the stars. 2 days later, a Catharian shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. Admiral Zexthera pressed close to the viewport, awestruck by the sight below. This wasn't the primitive world he remembered. Towering cities spanned continents, interconnected by shimmering roads and sleek transport tubes. Platforms floated in the sky, lush with gardens and spires. The oceans glittered with submerged domes and artificial islands. Even the very air seemed fresher, cleaner. This ... This cannot be the same planet, Velkara whispered beside him, their human escort. Colonel Steve Parker chuckled from across the shuttle cabin. Oh, it's the same Earth. We just learned to take better care of it. When you can live anywhere, you make sure home stays beautiful. The shuttle touched down on a sky-high platform above Geneva. Dr. Ninia Foster awaited them, flanked by a few officials. She was a middle-aged woman, her kind eyes and silver hair complementing her elegant yet simple attire, more graceful than any Catharian robes. Welcome to Earth, she said in flawless Catharian. I'm Dr. Foster, Director of Xenological Studies. I'll be your guide today. Members still aboard, preserved by the crash conditions. We gave them a proper burial here, as we would any of our own. Sandra gestured to 3 elegant crystal markers set among alien flowers and softly glowing lights. Nearby, filling the air with a gentle, calming sound. We didn't know your names, she continued, but we honor them as pioneers who gave us the stars. Admiral Zexthera stood silently, his 4 hands folded before him. For the first time since arriving, he felt something he hadn't expected: respect. You treated them with dignity, he said quietly. Of course, Dr. Foster answered. We owe them everything. Without their sacrifice, we might still be hunting with spears. Velkara wiped a tear from her eye, touched by the unexpected reverence the humans had shown. See, Admiral, Dr. Foster said gently, you didn't just come back to reclaim a ship. You came back to see what your legacy became. We built this, she gestured to the vast, glowing city beyond the museum's walls, because of you. Zexthera looked around, the weight of history settling on him. The pride of empire he'd carried felt small now, compared to the quiet, determined accomplishments of these once primitive beings. What do you want, Admiral? Dr. Foster asked, her voice soft but firm. Do you want the ship back? Do you want to share in what it helped create? Zexthera didn't answer immediately. Instead, he gazed up at the towering ceiling of crystal and light, thinking of the future, one that might be very different from the conquest he had once envisioned. Ask ChatGPT. They're trying to reassert authority before they lose the upper hand completely. President. Kennedy's gaze was steady as she watched the frozen image of Admiral Zexthera on the screen. We're not giving them what they want, she said firmly. We owe them respect, not submission. What's our next move, ma'am? General Martinez asked. Draft a response, Lisa ordered. Something polite but clear. We will not be abandoning our colonies, will not submit to oversight, and we will not surrender the ship that we've treated with more honor than even their own empire did. Dr. Wright smiled faintly. And if they push it further, then Lisa said, her voice hardening, we remind them that humans don't. Kneel. In the darkness of space, the Catharian fleet awaited a reply, unaware that the species they had underestimated for so long was about to remind them what it meant to be. Human defeated by a single human pilot. His officers stared at their screens in disbelief, unable to comprehend how such small ships could wield such power. How is this possible? Commander Thexrel muttered, his confidence shattered. Zextar's mandibles twitched in frustration. We underestimated them. Again. On Earth, Kevin Walsh landed his fighter near Geneva, where cheering crowds gathered to greet him. Cameras broadcast the event across the planet and into space. President Kennedy appeared on every channel, her voice calm but resolute. "To the Catherian Empire," she declared. "Let this be clear. We respect your history, but Earth will not bow. We will defend our home, our allies, and our future. We extend peace, but we will not be taken." Back aboard his flagship, Admiral Zextara listened to the broadcast. In that moment, he understood fully. Humanity was no longer the student. They were now the equal, perhaps even the master, and the galaxy was watching. "You said, Catherian Empire. We ruled this part of the galaxy for 50 millennia. No. But no one answered. The crew stared at their instruments, each of them understanding the terrible truth. The humans had surpassed them not just in technology, but in wisdom, in restraint, and in power. Admiral Zextara sank into his chair, his pride crumbling. The mission had failed before it ever began. They were no longer the masters of the stars, and worse, the galaxy had just seen it. "Recall the shuttles," Zextara said quietly, and open a channel to Earth. His officers looked at him in surprise. "We will negotiate on their terms." Carol smiled.
"Right.
"We propose a partnership. The Eternal Vigil remains here on Earth, but we will establish a joint research initiative, humans and Catherians working together. We'll share our discoveries, our science, our advancements. In return, you'll gain access to every improvement we've made on your original designs." The room fell silent. Volkera looked at Zextara with hopeful eyes. The human offer was generous, more generous than he'd expected after their humiliation. "And the price?" Zextara asked. "The only price," Carol replied, "is trust and the willingness to learn from each other." Zextara sat back, the weight of the galaxy heavy on his shoulders. But deep inside, a spark of something new, curiosity, ambition, maybe even hope, began to glow. Zagtara asked. "We propose that the ship remains here permanently," Ron said, "but not as human property. Instead as a shared memorial and research facility operated by both our peoples." Carol continued the explanation. "We would invite Catherian scientists to Earth to work alongside human researchers. In return, we would share our technological advances freely with your empire. You would do this?" Velkara asked, disbelief in her voice even after. "We threatened you?" Of course, Richard Turner answered with a smile. "We understand why you were upset. It must have been shocking to find your former students have surpassed their teachers. But that doesn't make us enemies. It makes us peers." Engineer Meldara, silent until now, spoke up. "What would our people say? The Empire has never accepted help from another species." "Then maybe it's time," Carol offered gently. "The universe is vast, full of wonders we've yet to imagine. No species can discover everything alone." Admiral Zextara looked around the table at his officers. He saw hope in Velkara's eyes, curiosity in Meldara's expression. Even Commander Thexrel, once furious, now thoughtful. "What exactly are you offering?" the Admiral asked. "A cultural and technological exchange," Carol explained. "Catherian. Students could attend human universities. Human researchers could visit Catherian worlds. Together we can explore new space, meet new species, and expand knowledge." Ron added, "Your ship would stay here, centerpiece of a new institution, the Eternal Vigil Research Center. The best minds of both species, unlocking the universe together." Velkara couldn't hold her excitement. "Admiral, this is what our empire needs. We've stagnated too long. This could spark a new golden age for us." Zextara stayed silent, contemplating all that had occurred. He came expecting to recover lost property from primitives. Instead, he found a species that had surpassed expectations, yet still honored their teachers. Offering friendship to their would-be conquerors, there would need to be approval from the Imperial Council, he said at last. "Of course," Carol replied, "we understand. Take all the time you need." 3 weeks later, Bastard Tony Martinez stood on the observation deck of the new Eternal Vigil Research Center, watching human and Catherian scientists working together in labs below. The alien warship was now a gleaming research hub, its halls filled with beings from both species, exchanging knowledge. Admiral Zixtara had returned to the Empire and, after much debate, convinced the Council to approve the program. The first Catherian students had arrived just yesterday. Eyes wide with wonder at the technology and opportunities, Velkara approached Tony, carrying a datapad full of research findings. She had chosen to remain on Earth as the first Catherian exchange scientist. The fusion experiments go well, she reported. Human methods combined with Catherian materials are producing efficiency rates we thought impossible. Tony smiled as he watched a young human engineer explain quantum mechanics to curious Catherian students. Physicists taught human researchers about dimensional folding technology. You know, Tony said to Velkara, this is how real progress happens, not through conquest, but through cooperation and shared discovery. Velkara nodded, her eyes bright with excitement for what lay ahead. Both our peoples have gained. Humans have Catherian dimensional technology. We've learned human methods of rapid innovation and adaptation. Through the window, they saw the memorial garden where the 3 original Catherian crew members were honored. Fresh flowers had been placed there that morning by human and Catherian students. United in remembering the past while building the future, Tony gazed out at the stars through the transparent dome above. Out there, human and Catherian ships now explored together, making new discoveries and friends across the galaxy. Sometimes, he said softly, the best teachers are the ones you surpass, and the best students are the ones who return to teach.